This is Life After Divorce Military Edition on this segment of A Scary to Remarry. What's up, Brave Arts community? This is Shon Hyneman, your premier pre-engagement coach, back with another segment of A Scary to Remarry, inspiring you to love fearlessly. This is the second episode of Life After Divorce Military Edition, which I feel is helping so many people. We had our first episode last night, and so I'm excited about tonight's episode as well. Today's guest, we've been following each other for a while on social media.
For years, years
Yeah,
and
right.
years.
Years, so to actually make this happen is pretty cool. So that's the power of social media. I know people say social media isn't a real place, but here we are now.
Hmm.
you know. So let me introduce today's guest because this is her first time on the platform. She is a Navy veteran, Navy nurse, fashion stylist, and fitness instructor who proves that resilience will always win. After serving the country, she will continue to care for others while inspiring confidence through beauty, fitness, and fashion. Her mission is to serve others, to feel strong, and to live boldly. Brave Hearts community, let's show some love to Ashley. How are you doing this evening?
I'm well. How are you?
I am great. I'm glad we're actually able to make this happen. Like I say, long time followers.
Yes,
So,
yes. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
yeah, for sure. So, yeah, when you reached out to me, I was like, oh, for sure, we got to do this. For sure. I want to talk about this Life After Divorce series.
Hmm.
I want to jump straight into this. So, can you share how being on active duty shaped your marriage and divorce?
So we both were active duty at the time. I was in Florida, he was in Japan. And so the distance between the two of us was 8,000 miles, right? And so it was already difficult to kind of cultivate what a marriage should be between two young people, two active duty sailors, right? And so distance probably had a lot to do with our downfall because there was no way that we were actually able to work as a team because we had to maintain ourselves individually. And
Hmm.
so it got to a point where what he wanted and what I wanted were two different things. And so that was probably the demise of our marriage.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, long distance can be challenging. I think, I think it's more of a thing now. People talk about it openly and how they're able to navigate those relationships.
Hmm.
I know my wife and I, we dated long distance, and it was about a year total.
Hmm.
And yeah, it presents its challenges. But for some odd reason, we were catching those tickets on sale for them flights.
Listen, where there is a will, there is a way. Okay. And if you want it bad enough, if you want it bad enough, you'll make it work.
I totally agree. And like you
Hmm.
said, if you want it bad enough, and that if
Hmm.
is a big, big if.
It's a big if.
Yeah, depending on the person. So,
Hmm.
yeah, for sure. What unique challenges did you face as a black woman navigating divorce in the military?
So, from a statistical standpoint, first of all, black marriages typically don't last very long, right? Is the plainest way I can put it is we already have that stacked against us, and then I, as a black woman, represent a very small subset of the military. So if you think about it like this, only 1 to 2% of the population in the United States will have the opportunity to serve the country. And that is a very small number, right?
Mhm.
And then as a black person, I represent only 17% of that 1% that serves the nation. And
Mm,
then if you want to break it down even further, I'm probably only about 15% of that 17% that serves, right? And so a lot of times I actually find that my situation is common, like being black, woman, and divorced in the military. If you want to put all those statistics in one, like if you want to combine that, that's actually a very common experience. But then you add in the fact that um, I also have to move across the country.
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Or I have to like I have my own turmoil that I'm dealing with on the inside, but I have a mission and I have to keep these people safe and I have to get them back home to their families. So
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of suppression that I have to do within my day job to literally keep people safe, to save lives.
Mm-hmm.
And there are opportunities that I simply just do not have to download because of that by itself,
Yeah.
right? um I will say that because that experience seems to be very common, when I do get an opportunity to download on somebody, they know exactly what I'm going through because they've done it before, right? And they've gone through maybe a divorce, sometimes two, sometimes three, depending on who you're talking to,
Mm-hmm.
right? But all of us on a fundamental level, on a foundational level, we've experienced it before,
Yeah.
right? And we know exactly what to do. We know exactly who to go talk to. We know exactly what process to begin. We know exactly what process to start, right? There
Mm-hmm.
are outliers that may or may not include like domestic violence. You may have some that have children. I was very, fortunate to kind of make it out without children,
Yeah.
right? But you have others that don't. And so that's a whole other legal process that takes time away from the military. And
Yes.
they have this saying, you know, a spouse didn't come in your sea bag, a child didn't come in your sea bag. Meaning the mission is always going to be first, regardless of whatever you have going on in your personal life, right? So those are just some of the challenges. I literally could go on all night just off that one question.
Wow.
But
No, that's good. I mean, yeah,
mhm,
continue because I mean, you're helping somebody because I mean,
yeah,
I never served in, our country,
hmm,
so I'm learning, just from this experience, from
hmm,
being able to interview people in
hmm,
the military. So, I appreciate the service and just the stats. I'm like still trying to chew on this because
hmm.
like, man, that's heavy. I never thought about all of that.
A lot of people don't, if it's not something that you like, if you've never been in the military, if you're not very close with someone in the military, that's not something that you would know off the top of your brain, right? But like, even in my situation, I represent such a very, very small subset of people, right? Very, very exponentially small, to the point where, not to really get off topic, but like a lot of our diversity initiatives came from that. Like, because we represent so little, you know what I mean? And like, the higher up you get, the less representation of me you see.
Mm,
So, another one of our very, very unique challenges that sometimes it does get very lonely at the top.
yeah.
Hmm.
Wow, that's heavy. Yeah. So do you feel that you if you marry someone, do you feel like you both have to be in the military to get it?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think that, again, if you want it bad enough, you'll work at it, right?
Yeah.
And so I believe that it doesn't matter if that person has served or not. There are some things that, if I do marry someone in the future who has not served, there are some challenges that I will have that he will not.
Yeah.
And a part of making our dynamic work is realizing that small fact right there. So
Hmm.
even something as simple as like, I have a morning routine. I get up every morning at this time. I, do everything in this order, and I'm out the door at a certain time. He may not have that because he hasn't had to live that way, right? And that in itself may be a challenge. But I think if two people understand each other well, and if two people really work at learning who their partners are,
Yeah.
I believe that diversity in their background could work just fine.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, because if you want it bad enough,
Mm-hmm.
I think I should title this.
Yeah,
If you
you'll
want,
find a way. And really and truly, it's the dual military marriages that don't be working out. Like, it's the ones that I married another service member, and we're like, within a year, 2 years, that's it, we're done. I can't take no more. Those are the ones that are usually the most challenging. Hmm.
wow. Yeah, so many questions. So many questions. So, what kind of support, if any, did the military community provide during your divorce?
So the military offers a lot of like legal resources. They have attorneys, they have, legal advice that you can seek. They have family advocacy programs. So if you need like parenting classes or some type of like therapy, or if you need just to kind of like, again, we talk about those domestic violence situations, if you need to kind of work through that, they have programs to help you
Yeah.
with that. I was very fortunate enough to not, not need that when I went through my divorce, but it is there if you so choose to seek it.
Hmm.
Most of it is self-referral. If the situation gets bad enough, then your boss may say, "Hey, I think you need to go and kind of seek this out." But typically, you can walk in there and you say, "Hey, I'm having this issue," and they'll be more than happy to help you.
Mm-hmm. So it is available. Yeah.
Hmm.
Got you. Got you. Uh, so how did the divorce impact you emotionally and mentally while still serving? Because I know you talked about cutting off a certain part of
Hmm.
yourself, but if you don't mind going in detail about that a little
So, divorce is like almost like death, right? The loss is as exponential
bit.
as death. And so you kind of have to go through an entire learning process all over again. Um, and so for me specifically, I got divorced after active duty, right? Like after I got out of the military.
Hmm.
Um, but part of that process started while I was still on active duty. And so once I realized that, this was kind of coming to an end, I had to go through the 5 stages of grief.
Yeah. Yeah.
I had a period of denial. I had a period of anger. I experienced all 5 paradigms
Yeah.
of grief. And sometimes I went back and forth between some.
Hmm.
You
Hmm.
know, I was in depression for a while because it took me I took it personal. Like I for a while felt like something was wrong with me. You
Hmm.
know, I felt like I had done everything I could to be a good and supportive wife to him.
Yeah.
And it was like no matter what I did, it wasn't enough. And so I took it very, very, very personal for a very long time.
Hmm.
And so, but once I got to a point where I accepted, this is coming to an end.
Yeah.
I have to go through a new chapter in life. It was pretty much easy after that, but I had to go through each and every single individual stage of grief. But the most important part of it was I allowed myself to feel that. And a lot of people, they don't let themselves sit in that because they feel like, oh, I gotta go and I gotta do and I got this and I got that. But the only way you'll get over something is if you go through it. You have to allow yourself to feel all of those emotions that'll come with it.
Hmm. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, because I remember going through my divorce and being married just about 15 years. We were separated, but we were
Hmm.
married. And like you said, allow yourself to feel. And I remember being in that apartment by myself for the first
Hmm.
time. I went in, I got the apartment, and I was cool that day. I was like, okay, well, here I am by myself.
Hmm.
And I take a shower that night, and I just broke down. I was like, where is this coming from? I just
Hmm.
started crying like I was three.
I had a lot of wet pillows during that process.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Hmm. Yeah, and so, um, and I'm saying all that to say, I didn't stop. Like I didn't stop. Like I need to tighten up. Well, first of all, nobody else was in the apartment, so
Hmm.
you know. But
Right.
I just allowed myself just to feel that and just go through it and just like I remember literally just like looking in the mirror, like just go ahead and deal with it.
Hmm.
This is your new reality.
Hmm.
So um,
I think
right.
it's also very important to have a really good support system.
Yes.
And so a lot of times we also, like during our time of grief, we tend to push people away and we tend to only want to present the best version of ourselves to the world, right? And so you're going through some process and you don't want your best friend to know, or you don't want your mama to know, or you don't want your
Mhm.
brother to know, or you don't want, anybody to know that this is what is tearing you apart, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
But I like vent to somebody, whether it's your therapist or whether it's your mama, who anybody who's willing to listen to you, anybody who's willing to help you.
Yeah.
I think it's beneficial to kind of download it and get it off,
Mhm.
because as much as I can sit here and say, I had to sit with it, and I had to, I would be lying if I said I did all of that by myself.
Mm.
I had people who I was able to vent to. I had people who I was able to talk to. I'm pretty sure my best friend was tired of hearing about how this didn't work.
Yeah. Yeah.
But she sat there and she listened the entire time. My parents have been married for 33, 34 years, something like that. And they've been together for 46 of them.
Wow.
And so even my mom, like, she's never been through a divorce before, but she sat and she listened to every word, and my dad too.
Uh,
So while it is important to allow yourself to feel, it is also beneficial to have a really, really good support system.
yeah. Yeah. Because I didn't have that,
Mhm.
but looking back, I was like, because I felt like I had to keep it all together. Like you
Mhm.
said, I felt like I had to, and I was just like, man, this sucked. And when I did, when I talked to my boy,
Mhm.
about going through the divorce, he was just like, man, let me get you out this house. Let me get,
Yeah. Yeah.
know,
Mhm.
let's just go
Mhm.
hang out, man. And so that was helpful just to kind of get my mind off of it.
Mhm.
I was in struggle mode, facing that new reality. But
Yeah.
why is it that we know we're all human? Why is it that we like to just kind of put up this facade? Like, I mean, here it is, you're going through a divorce. I mean,
Mhm.
we're supposed to be smiling. Why do
Yeah.
we struggle with letting people see us, especially our
I
friends
think it
and
has
family?
a lot to do with our upbringing, right? Now, objectively, I, from the outside looking in and kind of being heterosexual and kind of seeing how, men are raised, you guys are raised to bottle it up. Don't let nobody see you sweat. Keep it inside. Don't cry. Be a man. Suck it up. You guys are socialized like that from little kids. Even when you fall and you hurt yourself as a 4-year old and it hurts and you cry. What's the first thing people say to you? Don't cry, suck it up. You're a big boy, right? And so you guys are socialized your entire lives to suppress it. So then when you get to a point where you're dealing with some real stuff, the only thing you know how to do is suppress it. And the only emotion that society has allowed you to express outwardly is anger, which is a secondary emotion,
Yep.
right? So you can be afraid, you can be sad, you can be all of the things, but you feel like, because of again how you're raised from a kid, that if you express, I am hurt, I am disappointed, I am sad, I am this, I'm that, that people are going to question your masculinity and they're going to think that you're weak. So you show anger, right? Which has been your appropriate response. Like that has been the appropriate response that we have told you as society. This is the only way you can display emotion, right? And
Hmm.
then a lot of people turn around, and when women are being open and honest and emotional about things, it's looked upon as a feminine trait to
Yep.
feel those things, right? And so I feel like if we can get away from that socialization, if we could, tell men, express to men 100% and show them that it is okay to feel what you feel. It is okay to express that you're sad. It's okay for you to cry. It's okay for you to, be disappointed. You don't have to be angry. You don't have to be upset, but you also don't have to suppress it, right? I think a lot of the issues that people have, even in marriage, I
Yep.
think a lot of that it would be resolved just from getting away from that socialization.
Hmm. Yeah, I agree because I grew up in that era of children should be seen and not heard,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I guess I'm telling my age, but it was just during that time where you, like you said, you weren't allowed to cry, and so The time I remember getting into like a committed relationship, and she's like, "Let's talk," and I was like, I don't know if I,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I'm saying? Because I literally had a loss of words. Like I didn't know like what do you want me to tell you?
Mm-hmm.
But when your growth has been stunted like that,
Mm-hmm.
it's easy to stay stuck in that mode, and you get uncomfortable when they like, hey, let's have this, especially a tough conversation. You like,
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about that, you know.
It starts very, very, very young. And I think what we are starting to realize as the new adults is that our childhood has more of an impact on our adulthood than we know, than we think it may, right? And so for me, I was one of those ones who also, like, my voice was suppressed as a child. And
Mm,
I am mid 30s now, and I am just now getting to a point in life where I am finding it, and I am able to outwardly say, this is what bothers me, or this is what I need,
yeah.
right? And 20 years ago, I wasn't allowed to do that, which
Mm,
means 10 years ago, I had trouble with doing that.
yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, life moves fast because
Hmm.
I'm thinking of just childhood issues, and I even my therapist, he's telling me, he said, it sound like you got mommy issues, and I was like,
Hmm.
me, I don't have mommy issues, I'm good.
Hmm.
He just started talking to me, I was like, I got mommy issues.
Hmm.
And the funny thing about that is I had a talk with my mom. Shout out to mom if she's watching.
Hmm.
We had an uncomfortable conversation, but I felt like things changed after that. Whereas, like, you know what? I don't have to bottle in everything.
Hmm.
I don't have to, and even at this big old age, I'm almost 50. I'm at a place now. I don't care what people say. I'm just like, man, you know what?
Right.
I'm past that now.
Hmm.
I have fewer years ahead of me. I'm like,
Right. Yeah. Hmm.
yeah. How did you rebuild your confidence and identity after your second divorce?
It took me just figuring out what I like. I spent a lot of time with myself, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I figured out that I liked a lot of things that I probably wouldn't have even entertained during that time. I like cover bands. I like live bands. And so I made it a point to go see live bands whenever, I could. I enjoy roller skating, and I picked that up. I picked it back up. I've been skating since I was a kid, right? But I
Mm,
essentially hadn't been on four wheels since I was 13. I was 32 when I started skating again.
mm.
31, 32 years old during the pandemic. I
Yeah,
picked it back up, right?
yeah.
And so I discovered fashion that way. Like, I discovered I like to look nice, and I like to, put things together. So it took a lot of spending time with myself and kind of experimenting with different things to realize, kind of who I am at the core, what I like to do, how I like to spend my time.
Yeah, yeah. I
Hmm.
love it. Yeah, because after a divorce, you have to like find yourself. You're
Hmm.
like, who am I? I've given away so much to this other person that I don't know who I am. And I hear a lot of women too that when they go through divorce, they're like, I lost myself. I don't know who I am.
Hmm.
And it just takes a long time for me to just get me back to a place, because when I got married, I was 27, and now I'm 37, and
Hmm.
that's a long time, and
Yeah.
what you like now, you like,
So I find that a lot of people, and it may not be on purpose,
mhm,
they a lot of times lose their identity to that marriage because of life, right? You get married and you become one person.
yeah,
Now y'all are doing everything together. And I can't go play golf now I got these kids. I can't go play golf every Saturday like I used to.
yeah,
My son got soccer, my daughter got ballet. You know what I'm saying? We got this anniversary party that the wife got us going to. My husband want us to go here, here, and here to this party with this couple, right? So a lot of times you don't, I won't say have time, but a lot of people don't make time
yeah,
for themselves and their own identity to, kind of keep that part of them. So that way when they do get divorced, just it's like, oh man, like I what have I been doing all this time? Like I have no idea where to go, what to do. I don't even know what to put on. Like I have no idea what's happening out here.
Yeah.
And it's no fault to anybody, but that's just kind of how I see like especially like you get divorced after a really long time, like you were married 10, 15 plus years. It's really difficult because you've been doing life together that entire time and most of the time. And so a lot of people tend to sacrifice their self identity and their self expression because I have this wife, I have this husband, we have these kids, we got this house, you know, um, parents are going to glory. Like it's a lot happening, you know
Yeah.
what I mean, during that time. And so it's very possible that, I've kind of my, I let Ashley go. I know myself as Mrs. Williams. I don't know who I am as Ashley anymore because I have been Mrs. Williams. I've been mommy. I don't have children, but just kind of using that as an example. I've been a totally different person for so long. I don't remember Ashley. Hmm.
Wow. Yeah, that's real. And unfortunately, it's so common, you know. Yeah, because even now, like me recording, like I love
Hmm.
creating content creator, love it. But this is just my little jam. This is just what I like doing.
Hmm.
On my in my own spare time, and then I even have like I call them solo locations, right? Like
Hmm.
every so many months or whatever. My wife, I'm about to go get me a room for the weekend. I just need just time. If
Hmm.
I want to stare at a wall all weekend, let me just stare at the wall.
Right, right.
you know, and it just kind of helped put things back into to
Hmm.
perspective, kind of thing.
Hmm.
Where I can just kind of love on me for a second.
Yeah.
So yeah, I try to do stuff like that as often as I can.
Hmm.
What advice would you give to service members, especially women of color going through divorce?
Oh, women of color going through a divorce. Whew, I don't know if I'm really qualified to kind of speak on that because I wasn't married very long when I got divorced, but I'll offer what I can. And what I will say is have your ducks in a row.
Mm,
Okay. Documentation is important
yeah.
because sometimes your career depends on it,
Mm,
right? Um, do not put yourself in a situation where you are you have the possibility of going to jail.
mm,
Um, always, 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 always be cordial if you can,
mm,
but always keep yourself safe. Establish boundaries very early on in the divorce. I noticed what a lot of people do, and actually, what I got in the habit of doing was communicating via email. Very easy to track,
yes.
easy to kind of monitor, conversations, right? Always use a platform where it is very easy to trace things.
Mm,
Okay. Do not be afraid if things get violent, if your safety is at risk, do not be afraid to call for help.
yeah.
And even without that, right? Don't be scared to call for help.
Mm,
There are people who are willing to help you. You're not going through this alone. Even if you don't have kids, you're never by yourself. If you have people that love you and people that care about you, allow them to be there for you because sometimes that'll be your saving grace.
mm. Yeah. Words of wisdom. Yeah, because when you go through a divorce, it's one thing you talk about the divorce, but then when you go through it, that person becomes totally
A
different. Like,
totally different person.
yeah, you like, man, we used to sit on the couch and Netflix and popcorn and laugh and joke, and now we're on the opposite ends of the spectrum.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So that can be scary. Uh, Ashley, what does life after divorce mean to you personally?
Life after divorce personally means getting back to myself, learning what I like, learning what I don't like, learning what I will and will not tolerate, learning where I am willing to compromise, um, and just applying that into whatever situation comes next.
Mm-hmm.
The person that I was when I got married and the person I am right now, they're two totally different people.
Yeah.
They operate on the same set of principles, but we are two totally different people. What I tolerated then is not even a worry on the bottom of my shoe now,
Mm-hmm.
because I know what it looks like on the other side of putting up with that. I know what it looks like now where, if I work through this, I know what's going to happen if I keep working through it, right? And so life after divorce definitely means, being a little bit more strict. Nobody is bigger than the program. Okay. Nobody will ever be bigger than the program.
Yeah.
And so, in the name of self preservation, I will do whatever it takes to make sure I protect myself emotionally, mentally, physically, also,
Mm-hmm.
and financially. Because some people, they hear I'm a veteran, they hear I'm a nurse, they hear, all these great things, and they try to take advantage of me. Right. And so, life after divorce definitely means, you know, taking care of myself in such a way that I don't end up right back where I was.
Yeah. Mm. Love it. That is so good. Confidence. I hear it.
Hmm.
I hear it. I want to kind of I want to change speed a little bit.
Okay.
So this is going to be our bonus round. So this is going to be like Ashley Uncut, right? There's no wrong answers.
Okay.
Okay, no wrong answers. First of all, I want to say shout out to our sponsor at Love Fearlessly Intimacy Card Deck that my wife and I created. 30 cards in a set. This is if you are newlyweds, if you are dating any phase of your relationship, because
Hmm.
you'll be surprised at the things that you've known or that you thought you knew, and then these questions come up and you like, I never knew that.
Hmm.
So, Ashley, I want to pull one card from the deck and ask you a question.
Okay.
All right, let's go. Um, how did you manage hurt and disappointment growing up?
I didn't.
Mm,
And I think that is how we got where we are now. Again, I wasn't allowed to feel anything except gratitude for having a roof over my head, for
mm,
having clothes on my back, and having food on the table. So when I got old enough and I really started to lean into myself
mm,
as a person with needs, I didn't know what to do because I wasn't taught that.
yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's real. I totally get it. It's like you got a roof on your head, you got clothes on your back,
Hmm.
and I heard that a lot as a kid. I'm
Yeah.
like, oh my God. Like,
Hmm. And
yeah.
you should be, ain't nothing wrong with you. You should be grateful. You ain't out here homeless. You ain't hungry. Your lights ain't off. Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Hmm.
I used to get that spread all the time, and wasn't able to complain or have feelings or
Nope.
anything. So,
Mm-mm.
jeez. Okay. What's the biggest mistake you see women make when it comes to dating?
I think the biggest mistake a lot of women make is poor vetting, because they want companionship and they want, a mate where, um, during the vetting process, they kind of miss things. I'm guilty of it. That's how I have two divorces under my belt, right? And I think a lot of times we want someone to be in our space so bad, and we may be lonely and we may be all of the things. I don't want to be by myself. I want to go on dates. I want to plus one to all of these things where, a lot of times we do miss the red flags.
Yeah.
And those red flags that you miss in the beginning will be the catalyst to your relationship ending. So while, there is a thing that exists where people send in their representative, right? They send in their best actor. They send in, the best representation of themselves. People can't put up an act for very long, right? Tends to be 90 days where stuff starts to get real, right? But sometimes there are some like blaring red flags that we tend to either miss or try to work through because we want this person so bad.
Hmm. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, that's Yeah, I think dudes are guilty of that too, man. Like,
Mm-hmm.
they just see the physical and they just let everything go slide. It's just like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, uh, who makes a better spouse? Someone never married or someone divorced?
Ooh, I don't think either of the two make a better spouse, right? Because there's a learning curve that exists on both ends of the spectrum. So, and for a lot of, people who have been married before, there's some unlearning to do
Yeah.
also, right? So it can be a little bit more difficult for them and then you have people who've never been married before, they don't know how to navigate life as a married couple together. So I don't think anyone per se is better than the other. But what I do think is important is that your mate, whether they're divorced or this is their first time being married, that they're teachable and they're coachable and they're willing to work with you as a team. And they realize that it's not me versus you, it's us versus the problem. And I think that's where a lot of people kind of get mixed up too. I don't like I'm not gonna sit here and say, oh, I need somebody that's been like married before,
Yeah.
because that may not make a difference. Like they may still be on that same tomfoolery they were on, and that was how they got divorced the first time. And
Hmm.
then I'm also not gonna say, well, I need somebody that's been, that's never been married, because they just may not even be willing to. It's been them for so long, they may not even be willing to hear what you have to say. They may not even be willing to change or tweak certain parts of them to make this work.
I got you. Yeah, I agree. I always thought it was a fun question
Mhm.
because the divorce rates are higher the second time, and then they are like I think 73% third time, right?
Mhm.
So they keep going higher. So yeah, no, I, I totally agree. What's harder for you to say? I apologize. I need help. I love you, or I was wrong.
I need help.
You want to start on that?
Definitely, I need help. So, I do not want to bore you with the details of my childhood, right? But there was a lot of stuff I had to kind of learn on the fly.
Gotcha.
A lot of growing up I kind of had to do early on, right? And so I've gotten so used to doing everything by myself, because for a while that was all I had. And even when I was married, both times it was me. Like I was kind of doing it all, right? I've gotten used to that. And so when I end up in a situation where, hey, ooh, I can't I don't think I can do this by myself, I will ruminate for a very long time. Okay, how do I, like, I don't want to seem this, I don't want to seem like I'm begging, I don't want to seem, I don't want, I have to literally get over myself. There's a whole process that I have to go through in order for me to finally break down and say, okay, I need help with X, Y, and Z. Right. But it takes a while for me to, you know, I have, being married taught me to express, how you feel about somebody. I never hesitate to tell someone I love them, right? I never hesitate to apologize to someone when I mess up, because I'm no stranger to accountability, right? I never hesitate to, um, just kind of express that outwardly. But when it comes to asking for help, mm-mm. It takes a while, and it's a bit of a process for me to get over that for myself.
Yeah. No, I hear you because I mean that I need help thing. I totally get it. Right. Totally understand. And I'm kind of in that same boat where I'm just like kind of struggling, like, because to me, in my head,
Mhm.
I'm like, I'm only, and I always use this in like Uno terms, right? I always say I'm only going to use my draw four if I necessarily have to. I'm going to
Mhm.
always save this draw four just in case I need it. And so
Mhm.
I'm like, if I ask you for help, then in my head I'm thinking they're really willing to help me because I asked, because I'm not
Yeah.
they're not used to me every 10 minutes. Hey, can you help me with this? Help me with that.
Mhm.
And so I'm with you. No, totally understand.
Yeah.
Yeah. Last question. Is it easier to love yourself or someone else?
It is easier to love someone else. You are often your biggest critic, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so every day you kind of, because you can't see what other people like, you will never be able to see unless you look in the mirror,
Yeah.
right? You'll never be able to see yourself from someone else's point of view.
Mm,
Okay. So um you can, and you live with this every day, right?
yeah.
Like for example, I'm an eczema sufferer, okay? And the reason why I've been like fidgeting back and forth all night is because I am itchy. Like I feel like clawing my skin off right now, right?
Mm,
And so because I have to live with that every day and I have to live with those scars every day, it kind of does something to me,
gotcha.
right?
Yeah.
But somebody else with the same thing, I could see them and they would say something like, "Oh my God, this stuff has my skin," and I never hesitate to show love to that person because they kind of need it, right? And then not only like just off of aside from how you look, right? Like maybe you really struggle with how people have treated you over the years, okay? And then that might be a thing where like, dang, like maybe, something really is wrong with me for people to do me like that, and for me to continue to go through the same thing. Maybe something is wrong with me. And then so you start to kind of get down on yourself because of that. There's so many factors that go into it, whereas we can just openly and freely give that love to other people with no matter what their flaws are, no matter what they're, like I see a lot on TikTok and Instagram, all of the socials where people will say, "Oh, um, Pookie and Ray Ray out here in these streets and women still love them." You know
Mhm.
what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
we just give that love, just as people, we give that love so easily to everybody else, but because we have to sit in who we are, what our flaws are, what our imperfections may be, it affects us whether people want to admit it or not. It does. And so other people, they, I'll take you in small doses and then I don't have to deal with you, and I love you because of that. But because you are in your body, your skin, and your brain 24/7, 365,
Yeah.
sometimes it could be a little bit harder for you to be like, you know what, I love me and what I got going on, and that's just what it's gonna be.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, very well said. Yeah, I agree because you're housed in this body, and you're always looking at things like this.
Mhm.
And so yeah, I just like asking that question because some people are like, hey, I love me, and I'm like, that's what's up, but
Mhm.
sometimes we be on a struggle bus,
Yeah.
uh, real,
Mhm.
you know. Um, but Ashley, this has been a phenomenal episode. Thank you so much. Thank you for your transparency. I just want to acknowledge you for your transparency, for serving our country, and just being vulnerable, and like I could talk to you for another hour just based
Mhm.
off the first
Yeah.
two questions. I'm just like my mind is like racing. I'm like,
Right,
we can
right.
do it again.
Yeah.
So I might be reaching out to you in the near future because I
Okay.
still want some stuff that I want to ask that I think.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
Well, can you let everyone know how they can get in touch with you? All that good stuff, social
All
media.
right. So you can find me on Facebook, Ashley R. Hudson. There's going to be a picture of me in like this green and red and blue dress, purple, whatever it is, with a big fro. That is me. Click add friend. I will add you. You can find me on Instagram underscore we got clothes at home underscore, all one word. My personal Instagram, you can find me. The username is titanium. That's underscore TIT6 NIUM underscore. Find me on threads with the same handle, underscore TIT6 NIUM underscore.
Awesome, awesome. Well, I'll have everything linked in the description below so that way people can get in touch with you. Thanks again, Ashley, for so much wisdom and great episode. Thank you so much for your time. Brave Arts community, you heard it here. Go connect with Ashley. As you can see, she kept it real, helped some folks out. So go follow her. If you are watching this, make sure you hit the subscribe button, share this with someone, put this in your group chat, you know what I'm saying? Because somebody might need this. And then you watch the video, and then you have the conversation after you watch the video. If you are listening to this via podcast, make sure you leave a rating and review. By doing so, put you in a drawing for a free Amazon gift card. Who doesn't like free stuff? This is Sean Hyneman with my special guest. Is it this
It's
way?
actually, I think it's my right, your left, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, like
Okay.
that.
There we go. All right, Brave Arts community. Take care.